You right here from CNN News 18's headquarters. We're coming to you just moments after the ethics panel meeting around the cash for query controversy has come to an end. Remember, this is an investigation that the ethics panel was undertaking based on the accusations of a BJP MP, Nishikant Dubey. He'd essentially alleged that Mahua Moitra was taking cash and gifts in lieu of asking certain questions in the parliament. Now, those questions, Mahua Moitra has pointed out, were questions that were particularly about the dealings of Gautam Adani. She has argued that she's being targeted because she was openly asking and questioning the industrialist Gautam Adani in Parliament. Now, that entire inquiry that the ethics panel undertook over the last few days has just come to a conclusion. The ethics panel has, in fact, as expected, as we broke to you a few hours ago, they voted for her expulsion. The report that they've prepared has and is supposed to be submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker. After that, the winter Parliament session is where we believe action will actually be taken. Now, we're going to play out for you right now, for the start of our show, what it is that the head of the Ethics Panel Committee had to say. Take a look.
एथिक्स कमेटी के द्वारा महुआ मोइत्रा पे जो आरोप था उसको लेके एथिक्स कमेटी द्वारा रिपोर्ट तैयार की गई थी। आज के मीटिंग का सिंगल एजेंडा था कि उसको लेके रिपोर्ट को अडॉप्ट करना, और इसमें अडॉप्ट किया गया, रिपोर्ट को अडॉप्ट किया गया है, जिसमें 6 लोग समर्थन में थे रिपोर्ट के और 4 लोगों ने अपना डिसीजन नोट सबमिट किया है।
सर वोटिंग भी हुई? सर वोटिंग भी हुई है?
हाँ, वोटिंग हुई।
सर वोटिंग में
अब एक विस्तृत रिपोर्ट माननीय लोकसभा स्पीकर को सौंपा जा रहा है, और उसमें कमेटी के द्वारा जो फैक्ट फाइंडिंग पाई गई है उस रिपोर्ट के आधार पर एक विस्तृत रिपोर्ट अपने प्रस्ताव के साथ, अपनी सिफारिश के साथ लोकसभा स्पीकर को भेजी जा रही है। अभी सब कार्रवाई जो भी होना है वो लोकसभा स्पीकर के हम लोगों ने अपनी रिपोर्ट, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट लोकसभा स्पीकर को आज अडॉप्ट करने के बाद कल सौंप देंगे। उसके बाद जो भी कार्रवाई,
सिफारिश तो क्या है सर?
सिफारिश वही, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट में जब तक वो प्रेजेंट नहीं हो जाएगी तब तक वो
एक मिनट राकेश
देखिए, कमेटी के सभी सदस्यों ने, चाहे निशिकांत जी के द्वारा जो आरोप था या
बोलू करा दे यार इसका।
मुंबई से
चेयरमैन ऑफ द एथिक्स कमेटी मिस्टर विनोद सोनकर इज विद मी। क्या हुआ सर? रिपोर्ट अडॉप्ट कैसे हुई?
देखिए, आज का एजेंडा जो था इस रिपोर्ट को अडॉप्ट करने का, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट पहले ही कल सभी सदस्यों को भेजी जा चुकी थी, और सबसे उम्मीद की गई थी पढ़ के लोग आएंगे और ये अडॉप्शन की आज कार्रवाई होनी थी। आज सदस्यों ने एडॉप्शन पर, कुछ लोगों ने वोटिंग की मांग की, अब वोट से बहुमत के साथ यह रिपोर्ट, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट अपनी सिफारिशों के साथ माननीय लोकसभा स्पीकर को भेज दी।
कांग्रेस के एक सदस्य कह रहे हैं कि प्रणीत कौर को आपकी पार्टी ने प्रेशराइज किया था आपके लिए वोट करने के, आपके साथ वोट करने।
देखिए, अच्छे काम में जो सहयोग करे सबका धन्यवाद।
और दूसरी बात ये है कि अब आगे की कार्रवाई क्या होगी?
आगे कार्रवाई माननीय लोकसभा स्पीकर तय करेंगे। कमेटी ने, कमेटी को एक काम दिया गया था पूरे आरोप को विस्तृत जांच करने का, उसको पूरी विस्तृत जांच की गई, और जो फैक्ट फिगर पाए गए वो पूरी फिगर के साथ हमारी लोकसभा के स्पीकर को अपनी संस्तुति के साथ भेजा गया।
वो कह रहे हैं कि क्यों दर्शन हीरानंदानी को नहीं बुलाया तो फिर इंक्वायरी नहीं?
देखिए, जब पूरी विस्तृत रिपोर्ट पार्लियामेंट के पे ले हो जाएगी और पब्लिक डोमेन पर आ जाए तो आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको लगेगा कि जो कमेटी को करना चाहिए, कमेटी ने पूरी निष्पक्षता के साथ, पूरी गहनता के साथ विषय का परीक्षण किया।
थैंक यू सो मच फॉर टॉकिंग टू अस। पायल मेहता फ्रॉम द पार्लियामेंट CNN News 18।
Okay, important reactions coming in as we speak. Nishikant Dubey, the BJP MP, on whose complaint the ethics panel actually did this entire investigation, he's put out a tweet right now. He's talking about a Congress party MP, Praneeth Kaur, who was part of the ethics panel, but who voted differently from the other opposition leaders. BJP leaders on the ethics panel voted for Mahua Moitra's expulsion based on that report. Opposition MPs voted against it, except for, as you can see over here, Praneeth Kaur ji. Now we'll read you what it is that Nishikant Dubey has had to say. We'll provide you with context, then we'll go over to a reporter. What he said here: Punjab has always stood for India's identity and national security. Today again, Captain Amrinder Singh Ji and Congress Party MP Praneeth Kaur Ji did not make any compromise for national security. India was, is and always will be grateful to the brave men of Punjab. Important to point out here, this is the context. The Congress Party MP Praneeth Kaur is the wife of Captain Amrinder Singh Ji. Amrinder Singh was the Chief Minister of Punjab with the Congress. He resigned in 2021. In 2022, a party that he had formed of his own merged with the BJP. So he is a BJP leader. Now my colleague Arun Dhanta is with us to bring us more context. We'll bring you more reactions on this, then we'll go over to him for context on this. Take a look first at reactions.
Congress Puducherry MP Mr. Vethalangam is with me. Sir, why did you give a dissent note? Why did you not vote in favor of the report?
Actually, you can see on that day, the second, the last meeting is taken place. It is not completed. And the chairman asking unnecessary questions and unethical questions. That is the main issue. We walked on. Then, after the meeting is over, they circulated the paper and circulation, the resolution, draft report on this. So, actually what happened at the meeting, what chairman says, after the evidence witness crossing, we will have a separate meeting, separate internal meeting of the committee members. But there is no internal meeting happen in the committee.
Also, one very important question. They had 5 members, you had 4, you had 5 members, but Praneeth Kaur suddenly decided to vote for the BJP.
Actually, yeah, chairman is voted for it. What?
Praneeth Kaur decided to vote for the BJP.
Yeah, that is what I asked to her. It is compulsory.
What compulsion is that?
I don't know.
Will you ask your party leaders to ask her questions?
I will tell my party.
Have you made your party aware that she's voted?
Just now it has happened. So we must inform the party.
Right, thank you so much for talking to us. Payal Mehta for CNN News.
Okay, a big accusation coming in there in that interview. Let's go over to my colleague Arun Dhanta, who's joining us right now to provide us with more details on this entire story. Arun, we just played out for our audience is what it is that a Congress MP who was on that panel had to say. He had to say that one Congress MP was pressurized to vote in a different manner. Now, can you tell our audiences, this is a very serious accusation. Can that accusation too be further investigated? What happens there?
Well, we'll have to see that because it was a very tight contest. 10 members were present in that ethics committee's meeting out of 15, and 6 were in favor of action against Mahua Moitra, and those 6 were, 5 were of course expected. Hemant Godse, one of the members who comes from the Shinde faction of Shiv Sena, Rajdeep Roy, Aparajita Sarangi, then you have Vinod Sonkar. All these people were expected to, in fact, vote in favor of action. But Praneeth Kaur is also supporting, which taking the count of those members in support to 6, recommending action against Mahua Moitra, and 4 people against that action. So we'll have to see that what is going to be the repercussions of this vis-a-vis opposition unity is concerned. We know that Praneeth Kaur has not been in that good terms with the Congress party of late, especially after Amrinder Singh left the party and joined Bharatiya Janata Party. But having said that, of course, the danger is very much imminent for Mahua Moitra now, since the report has been sent to the Lok Sabha Speaker's office, and now we are given to understand that Lok Sabha Speaker will be, of course, tabling this report. Government will move the motion on the first day of winter session to remove Mahua Moitra, from the parliament. What sort of action will that be? Whether she will be suspended from this Lok Sabha, or the repercussions of it will be on her next election, whether she'll be able to contest the elections or not, and what is going to be the action vis-a-vis the agencies are concerned, whether they will be, examining the money trail and the larger narrative, larger objective of this. That we'll have to see. But of course, now we can say that when voting happened, 6 members voted in favor of the expulsion of Mahua Moitra, and this was the final meeting of the ethics committee. They have done their work. they have adopted the draft report, and now it has been sent to the Speaker's office. So we'll have to see. Speaker will go through, of course, from these 500 pages report, and this report will reflect each and everything what happened in the two sittings of this ethics committee meeting. On the first day, they asked both Nishikant Dubey and Jay Anant to depose before them with all their allegations, and then we saw Mahua Moitra coming before the ethics committee on 2nd of November. We saw, of course, some heated argument took place. 5 members of parliament, including Mahua Moitra, left that ethics committee's meeting, and of course, as we're given to understand that the rule number 275 of the parliament is something which is putting Danish Ali also in danger, because he spoke to media which he was not supposed to do under that rule, and he also raises some sort of insinuation on the chair on the chair of the ethics committee. So we'll have to see what sort of recommendation committee has given vis-a-vis Danish Ali is concerned. Both of them, of course, will be in trouble now, and we'll have to actually see the details of those 500 pages report which ethics committee has adopted, and then of course we'll see as to in which way this entire matter goes, because remember the entire report has been formulated on the basis of reports received from the MHA, Ministry of External Affairs, and of course Information Technology Ministry. So all these ministries have sent their reports. They have checked vis-a-vis with their officials and the data as to what is the status of Mahua Moitra's visits, be it is to Dubai or to any other foreign country, and what is the timings
Arun, I'm
and
going
the
to
other
ask you to
things.
stay with us for just a second. I want to play out more reactions for our audience right now. Remember, Mahua Moitra, the TMC MP in question, has flatly denied all of these arguments. She said there is no proof of a cash or gift trail in lieu of her asking any questions in Parliament. That's been her consistent defence. Now, there are MPs on that same panel who voted in support of her, which means essentially that they voted against the findings of the report. These were opposition MPs belonging to parties like the BSP, the Left, the Congress and the JDU. We're going to play out for you an interview that my colleague Payal, who's on the ground reporting for us right now, got us with the MP from CPIM. Take a look.
Joining me right now is Mr. Natarajan from the CPM. He's part of the ethics committee. Sir, why did you give a dissent?
See, first we objected that the inquiry is not completed. So another chance must be given to Moitra to express her views about the complaint against her. The second point, we demanded that the Hira Nandani must be summoned. That is not taken place. The third, the attitude of the chairman is personal questions he is continuously asking, that we objected. So the decision, this is the decision of the chairman, so we objected.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Okay, we'll bring you context on this entire story. Remember, this is an accusation that has been circulating for a few weeks now. It was made by two people, the BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, who we keep talking about, and Jay Anant Dehadrai, a lawyer. Both of them together made this complaint that the TMC MP Mahua Moitra was asking certain questions. She was reportedly receiving cash and gifts in return for asking certain questions in Parliament. As we've told you already, Mahua Moitra has flatly denied these accusations. She has said that yes, she did share her login and password with a Dubai-based business person, but there was no proof of her receiving cash and gifts in return for asking specific questions in Parliament. Now, my colleague Arun Dhanta remains with us. Arun, I'd like to circle back to a question we asked you a little earlier, the question of what could be done about this accusation that a Congress MP has made that Praneeth Kaur made the vote that she did under pressure. Can that be taken anywhere in terms of it being further investigated? Okay, we'll try to reconnect with my colleague Arun. As you can see, there is an audio issue over there. We were talking a little bit about the accusations and the way in which the ethics panel entire report and investigation has played out over the last few weeks. As we've already been telling you, last week on Thursday, Mahua Moitra was called in by the ethics panel for an interrogation. She was asked certain questions. It's important to point out that Moitra herself had asked for two different things. She'd asked, number one, that she be allowed to interrogate two people. Nishikant Dubey, the BJP MP, had said that it wouldn't be possible. She'd said she wants to interrogate, number one, Jay Anand Tihadrai, a lawyer, and number two, the Dubai-based businessman that she reportedly accepted cash and gifts from. She said she wanted to interrogate both of them in front of the panel. We're going to play out more reactions for you, then we'll connect with reporters. Take a look.
Member of Parliament Aparajita Sarangi joins us. We've discussed what happened in the meeting, but most importantly, why do you think Parneet Kaur actually voted along with the BJP? Because the Congress MPs are saying that she was put under pressure.
Absolutely no pressure. I think she's a very mature politician. There's no question of pressure at all. In fact, she took this decision on her own, and I'm sure she took this decision because she has that courage to stand by what is right. So if there is contempt of house, if there is breach of privilege, if there is violation of the provisions of the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha, I'm sure any right-thinking parliamentarian would come and not support. Or
what happens to the so-called opposition unity in this case? Because Parneet Kaur is a sitting member of parliament from the Congress party, has not adhered by the parliament by what her party really wanted her to do.
So this is a good thing which has happened, and I think all of us should support and all of us should welcome this kind of attitude. But I think today whatever has happened, we have sent our recommendations to Honourable Speaker. He'll take the right decision at the appropriate time. But I can only say that this is a great lesson for all the parliamentarians, that we should live within our limits of decency, and we should see what is right and what is wrong, and then only whatever the job chart says, we should adhere to the job chart.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Okay, let's go over right now to my colleague Payal, who's providing us with each of these interviews as we speak. Payal, we'll ask you a few questions. Question number one, has the report already been submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker?
Well, there's a procedure which has to be followed. Today, the chairman and the other members would have signed the report. The dissent notes will become a part of that report, and only then will it be submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker. So, possibly in the next couple of days, the report is likely to be submitted to the Lok Sabha Speaker for his final approval. Because eventually, as they say in Hindi, the Malik of the Sansad is the Lok Sabha Speaker. He is the final authority on matters concerning MPs, especially the Lok Sabha MPs.
Okay, Payal, question number two, the very serious accusation being made right now by one of the Congress MPs on that panel, that Parneet Kaur, one of the other Congress MPs, voted under pressure. Can that be further investigated? Are the opposition parties at all interested in doing that?
Well, the onus will definitely be on the Congress party to ask questions, because I asked Mr. Vethalingam again that question that, will you inform your party leaders? Will there be any action? So he said, the meeting has just gotten over. He probably will have a word with his party leaders. Because it was given to understand Parneet Kaur would have to come for the meeting, and she would have to actually side with Mahua Moitra and the opposition parties. But it seemed that she'd come with a preconceived mind, and she was pretty much prepared to come on board. And essentially what the defense of the chairman and the other MPs, including Aparajita Sarangi, has been that she's taken this into account, given the fact that she feels that the conduct that was required was done, and she's done her duty as a member of parliament, and nothing more and nothing less.
Okay, Payal, if I can just ask you to stay with us for a second. We have some data on the wall behind me we're going to share with our audiences. After that, we'll go back to my colleague Payal to ask her more questions over here. Number one, the big question we're looking at right now, whether or not Mahua Moitra will lose the MP status that she currently enjoys. What did the panel find? Number one, heinous and criminal conduct of the MP. That is the accusation that is being made. The panel has recommended that Mahua Moitra be expelled because of this heinous and criminal conduct. We'll talk about this in just a second. We'll take a deeper look at it in just a second. But number two, and this is one of the accusations that we know that Mahua Moitra has said did take place, that she did share her credentials with an unauthorized person. Remember, her argument to this has been that there are no clear rules in the Lok Sabha manual about who you can and can't share your passwords with. Now, the panel has recommended that this misdemeanor calls for severe punishment. Remember, there are two accusations we're taking a look at. One is the sharing of login and password, and the second is the other more serious accusation that she took cash and gifts in lieu of asking certain questions, something that Mahua Moitra has entirely denied. Now, the panel has said that they found that there was unethical conduct by accepting money and cash. We'll double click on this in just a second with reporters, because this is exactly what Mahua Moitra has said there is no proof for. What the panel is recommending is legal and institutional inquiries by the government is needed in this case. Now, number 4, a money trail between Mahua and Darshan Hirandani. This is very, very closely linked to what we just showed you. This is one more part of that same accusation that she took gifts and cash in lieu of asking certain questions. Again, important to point out, she has entirely denied this. She said there's no proof of there being any trail and any link between any gifts and questions that she asked that were critical of Gautam Adani. Now, let's go over to my colleague Payal right now to ask her more questions here. Payal, we're telling our audiences right now, obviously we've talked in depth about the login details, the passwords, all of that through the day-to-day. But the other important thing that we're telling our audiences is that the panel seems to have found proof of a cash trail existing. Can you tell our audiences, because we've talked so much about what the ethics panel's purview was, whether or not they could even undertake a criminal investigation of that kind, what has been found? What can you concretely tell us has been found in that regard?
Well, taking cognizance of the complaint filed by Nishikant Dubey and Jay Anand, the panel is of the opinion that there needs to be a deeper investigation into the matter, because the allegations against Mahua Moitra are extremely serious. It is, of course, cash for query, and that's the whole allegation. In a way that you are trying to get a quid pro quo is something which is being alleged against Mahua Moitra. But how does one get to the depth of it? You have to look at the money trail. You have to look at the other investigations that are available. You have to look at other matters, because allegations have been leveled by Mr. Jay Anand. But is the ethics panel an appropriate platform to be able to do that? The answer is certainly no, because the ethics panel is a committee of MPs. It's not they look into the conduct of they're not an investigating agency. So essentially, that's the reason the committee in its recommendation has said that an in-depth inquiry, including an institutional inquiry in a time-bound manner, needs to take place as far as this matters concerned.
Payal, can I just ask you, is it correct to tell our audiences then that the ethics panel was not conclusive on that aspect? They've recommended it for further investigation. Is that correct?
Yes. While the ethics panel has done its job by, in fact, announcing that they will be, recommending, that Mahua Moitra should be
expelled. We'll come back to you in just a second. Let's take a look at what Dan Shali had to say.
मीटिंग में जो निर्णय हुआ उसे
रिपोर्ट की सहमति में वोट किया है, कैसे देखते हैं इस पूरे मामले को आप सर?
2 मिनट में मीटिंग खत्म हो गई। 4:15 बजे तक 15 मिनट इंतजार किया गया, अब 2 मिनट में
नियम के एकदम विपरीत है। चेयरमैन कभी लेट नहीं आ सकता, लोकसभा स्पीकर अपने 1 सेकंड लेट नहीं आ सकता।
सर हम एक-एक करके बैठते
हैं। नहीं, एक ही बात है।
नहीं, एक-एक करके करते हैं। पहले सर नहीं कर लेते हैं। ठीक है।
पहले की बात लोकसभा का क्या होता है ना,
हम उस साइड आ रहे हैं सर, उस साइड आ रहे हैं।
नहीं, उधर कर लेते।
Okay, this is a story we're going to return to in just a few minutes. This is The Nation at 5. We'll see you in just a few minutes right here on the show.
As our understanding is that its closure was because of a certain security circumstance. So our expectation is that once that circumstance is resolved, the crossing will be open at the regular intervals that it's been open, and the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza and the facilitation of foreign nationals interested in exiting will be able to do so.
Military support to Israel, and is the U.S. still in the position of not drawing any red lines for Israel?
What I can say, and this is not the first time that you've heard me, the Secretary, or Matt, or others say this, and dating back to October 7th, we have laid out in clear terms, and we have done so directly with our counterparts and our partners in the Israeli government, that there is a moral imperative, a strategic imperative, and a responsibility to distinguish between Hamas terrorists and Palestinian civilians in Gaza. And we'll continue to lay out that very clearly. And we have also raised directly that we believe that there are additional steps that can be taken by the Israeli government to ensure protection of civilians, and we'll be continuing to watch closely. It's going to be a good briefing when you have a former PRS director and acting
G7 foreign ministers in Japan. obviously they held in-depth discussions about just a brief update on the crossing at Rafah. Over the last 24 hours, more than 80 more trucks carrying humanitarian aid was able to enter Gaza. That brings the total to 650. Again, not enough. We're going to continue to work to push that. And as of now, we're aware of more than 400 Americans and family members who have been able to depart and sought the support of our embassy team on the ground in Egypt. There has been no change in that number since yesterday. So no more U.S. citizens or family members got out since the last time, well, since yesterday when I was up here talking to you guys. Prime Minister Netanyahu talked about an indefinite period where they would be on the ground. I think he was referring to the fact that in the immediate aftermath of conflict, it's certainly plausible that for at least some period of time, Israeli Defense Forces are still going to be in Gaza to manage the immediate aftermath and the security situation. But that nothing's changed about our view that shouldn't be the long-term solution, that it shouldn't be about an IDF reoccupation of Gaza as a long-term governance solution. Certainly the American citizens that we know are being held, but all of them. And in order to do that, as we saw with the first 4 that got out, 2 Americans and then 2 Israelis a couple of days later, there was enough of a pause in the fighting to allow for their safe passage, and that's what we're trying to get cemented, is an agreement for as many pauses as might be necessary to get all of them out. But it's a delicate negotiating process, and we're still working at it. What I can tell you is that we want to stay open to the idea that it might take, in fact, likely could take, more than one humanitarian pause to get them all out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
For a second day in the row, the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, was able to escort 6 ambulances out of Gaza City and to the Rafah crossing with Egypt, where I'm currently stood. We also entered Gaza with several trucks of vitally needed medical assistance that we planned to donate to different facilities that are in desperate need of medical items, including the Al Quds Hospital, which is managed by the Palestinian Red Crescent, our main partner. The ICRC, due to serious security challenges on the road, which included one of our trucks being impacted and with one of our drivers being injured, was not able to go ahead with the plan as we intended. We were, however, still able to deliver the majority of the assistance that we had with us to one of the major hospitals within Gaza City, Al-Shifa. These are not conditions under which humanitarians can work and meet the urgently required needs of the civilian population. Humanitarians, hospitals, and civilians must be protected under international humanitarian law.
In the last week, I've had to tell a father that his child has non-survivable burn injuries. We've had to treat with the team patients, young children that have been pulled out of the rubble after 48 hours. Today, we had a patient in theatre for further surgery, extensive surgery she's already had, and had lost 2 children in the attack that wounded her. We're still getting patients every day with very significant injuries that are going to take a long time to heal. We're really running out of things now, dressings, particularly for the burns. We're running out of anaesthetic and analgesic drugs. The staff, both ourselves and the local staff here, are getting very worn out. The living conditions are very basic. There's not much food. Electricity cuts in the evening, difficult and irregular communications. But of course, this is nothing compared to what the people here in Gaza are suffering at this moment.
We can pack it up. I can go.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here from our offices in CNN News 18. We're continuing to bring you details from the cash for query story. Remember, the accusation that a BJP leader, BJP MP Nishikant Dubey, made against the TMC MP Mahua Moitra was essentially that she took cash and gifts in lieu of asking certain questions critical of Gautam Adani in Parliament. Mahua Moitra, for her part, remember, has entirely denied this. She said there's absolutely no proof of any money trail, and she said she's being targeted because she asked questions critical of the industrialists. Now, very quickly, we're going to walk you through different graphics right now on the screen behind me. We're going to walk you through some particularly important points in this story. Let's take a look. What options lie ahead? What's taken place in the minutes right before this? The ethics panel met and they recommended, in the form of a report, the expulsion of Mahua Moitra. After they did that, that report is now going to go to the Lok Sabha Speaker in the winter session of the Parliament. But what options are there for Mahua Moitra now? Number one, as we've already told you, the government must bring the motion on the first day of the winter session. Mahua Moitra can actually sit there on the first day of the session because she has not actually been removed formally at all from the Parliament till now. It's only been recommended. Action yet has not been taken. Now, as we told you already, Mahua has the right to challenge this expulsion. She can take it legally to court if she'd like. After the report is tabled, so this report that we've just talked about, it was tabled at the ethics panel, but after it's tabled in front of the Parliament, the government will set up an institutional inquiry. Okay, let's go back to my colleague Payal right now to understand more. Payal, let me just lay out for our audiences. There are two separate sets of accusations we're talking about right now. Number one, the accusation that she shared her login and password details with Darshan Hirandani. And number two, the accusation that there was a cash and money trail. She took money from him to ask certain questions in Parliament. Payal, is it correct to tell our audiences that because the Ethics Committee cannot investigate the second more grievous charge of a cash and gifts trail, because that is something that will be investigated possibly criminally by investigative agencies, it's just the first part, the login and password credentials being shared, that the Ethics Committee action today is based on. Is that accurate or not?
The Ethics Committee, what is their job? Their job is to look at the conduct of the MPs, whether it is in accordance to the rules and the procedures. And over here, Mahua finds herself in the dock given the fact that she allowed Darshan Hirandani or anybody else to use her login. And the report says that it has about 47 logins from UAE. And Mr. Hirandani in his affidavit also makes a mention of using her login ID and password. That could have actually compromised national security because on the portal you get many documentation, not just to key in your questions, but you're getting access to various sensitive bills as well. In the report, the Home Ministry has also listed the list of bills that have been sent to the MPs, in the recent, and it could have actually had damning, consequences should it have leaked out to anybody else. As India as a country, it would have had damning consequences. Having said that, yes, this is what the Ethics Committee's main mandate was, and the Ethics Committee has done the right, what they feel is in the right by looking at the evidences. And remember, Mahua was given a chance to present herself. It's a different thing altogether that she actually stormed out of the meeting saying that she was being asked personal questions. Secondly, when it comes to the cash trail or the money trail or gifts or whatever, Mahua has been coming out to the public, has spoken to various people, including our channel, saying that I challenge them to prove that to us. That's actually for the investigating agencies to look into because the Ethics Committee is full of MPs. It does not have any investigating powers to itself. They can only recommend it to an external agency. But over here, they've asked the government of India to come up with a mechanism by which this can be investigated, and they've asked them to put up an institutional inquiry, which is given an in-depth analysis as well. Now, there's more trouble for Mahua Moitra given the fact that just yesterday Nishikant Dubey tweeted saying that his letter which was written to the Lokpal has now been accepted and the Lokpal has further sent the request to CBI, which is a nodal agency. There is also a pending request made by Jay Anand also as far as this case is concerned. asking for CBI to inquire into the entire matter. So let's just wait and see what really happens from here on. But yes, Ethics Committee has done, and they've sent the recommendations. The recommendations are two. Number one, to expel Mahua as a member of parliament because of the violation of the parliament procedure by allowing her login credentials to be used by somebody overseas. And secondly, the recommendation is to ask the government of India to form some sort of a mechanism by which and detailed inquiry and an institutional inquiry, and that in a time-bound manner can be done.
Okay. Payal, can I just come back to you in a second? I want to ask you more about the TMC's response that we saw today. First, let me just take our audiences to a reaction. The ethics panel has also pulled up Danish Ali today. Take a look at what he had to say.
देखिए, आज पहली प्रक्रिया तो पे ही सवाल हम कर रहे हैं. हमारा और पहले दिन से सवाल ही प्रक्रिया पर है. चेयरमैन आए 15 मिनट बाद और 2.5 मिनट में मीटिंग खत्म हो गई. रिपोर्ट इतनी बड़ी रिपोर्ट, इतनी मोटी रिपोर्ट, डिस्कशन ही नहीं हुआ. और जो रिपोर्ट में नहीं था, जो 1 घंटे से 1.5 घंटे की कार्रवाई पहले दिन की उस ड्राफ्ट रिपोर्ट में शामिल नहीं है, उस पर हमने जो है सदस्यों ने सवाल उठाया कि भी इसको जो है इसमें सम्मिलित करो. भी नहीं है, बस कौन इसके पक्ष में कौन इसके पक्ष में है करके, और चेयरमैन जस्ट रैन अवे विद इन 2 मिनट्स. ये तरीका होता है क्या? और सत्ता पक्ष के लोग जो है मेंबर्स बाहर आके खूब इंटरव्यू दिए. पहले दिन भी जब महिला सांसद के साथ जो मतलब फिल्दी क्वेश्चंस उनसे पूछे गए महुआ मोइत्रा से, इंडिसेंट लैंग्वेज का इस्तेमाल हुआ. भाई, हम तो महिलाओं का सम्मान करते हैं. हम तो महिलाओं के खिलाफ अगर अन्याय होगा तो उसकी आवाज उठाइए और उठाते रहेंगे. आप शायद आपके लोग आपका ये आचरण नहीं होगा.
एथिक्स कमेटी के मेंबर होने के नाते आपकी क्या स्टेप?
हमें जो करना था हमने कर दिया. हमने प्रक्रिया पर सवाल उठाए हैं. विपक्ष के सदस्यों ने अपना डिसेंट नोट दे दिया है.
Okay, let's go back to my colleague Payal right now. Payal, can you tell our audiences, one of the big things we've talked a lot about in the last few days is the lack of support seemingly from the TMC towards Mahua Moitra. They've been relatively silent for a particularly vociferous party. Now today we saw Abhishek Banerjee coming out. He's the TMC's second in command with a statement. He said that Mahua Moitra was more than capable of defending herself. This statement came obviously before the ethics panel tabled their report. How did you see the TMC statement, the TMC posturing?
You know, what you see and what I say does not really matter, but you know, obviously there's political implications to everything as well. The question that the BJP constantly has been asking is, why is Mamata Banerjee silent? Mamata Banerjee is such an advocate for women's rights. Why is it that she doesn't feel that wrong is being done to Mahua Moitra? Essentially, the BJP feels that Mahua Moitra's case is a fit case for anybody, which is to say that this is indefensible. You know, whenever you go anywhere, whenever you do anything, you know, you're responsible for your own actions. If Mahua Moitra decided to do that, you know, and give her login credentials to a businessman, was this done with the approval of the TMC? The answer certainly would be no, because anybody in the same line would have advised her that this is going to go against her. So that's possibly been the line of defense. Yes, of course, you know, supporting a particular corporate by the government is something which has been alleged not just by the TMC, but also by the Congress party in the most aggressive manner. So we'll have to just wait and see what really comes out from here on, given the fact that there are a lot of questions for Mahua Moitra to now answer, and especially to the agencies in terms of the money trail, etc. But what we do understand right now is that trouble is only mounting for her, given the fact that she does not have political support. The members in the committee tried to put up a support for her, but today there was a backlash, given the fact that Praneet Kaur, one of the sitting members of the committee and also sitting member of parliament of the Congress party, decided to side with the BJP because she felt what was right and what was wrong was wrong.
Okay. All right, Payal, thank you for bringing us all of these details. My colleague Payal has also conducted a number of interviews on the ground regarding this story, reactions coming in from some of the members of parliament who were even on the panel. Take a look.
क्या हुआ सर रिपोर्ट अडॉप्ट कैसे हुई?
देखिए, आज का एजेंडा जो था इस रिपोर्ट को एडॉप्ट करने का, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट पहले ही कल सभी सदस्यों को भेजी जा चुकी थी और सबसे उम्मीद की गई थी पढ़ के लोग आएंगे और ये एडॉप्शन की आज कार्रवाई होनी थी. आज सदस्यों ने एडॉप्शन पर कुछ लोगों ने वोटिंग की मांग की। अब वोट से बहुमत के साथ यह रिपोर्ट, विस्तृत रिपोर्ट अपनी सिफारिशों के साथ माननीय लोकसभा स्पीकर को भेज दी।
कांग्रेस के एक सदस्य कह रहे हैं कि प्रणीत कौर को आपकी पार्टी ने प्रेशराइज किया था आपके लिए वोट करने के, आपके साथ वोट करने।
देखिए, अच्छे काम में जो सहयोग करे सबका धन्यवाद।
और दूसरी बात यह है कि अब आगे की कार्रवाई क्या होगी?
आगे कार्रवाई माननीय लोकसभा स्पीकर तय करेंगे। हम कमेटी ने, कमेटी को एक काम दिया गया था पूरे आरोप को विस्तृत जांच करने का, उसको पूरी विस्तृत जांच की गई और जो फैक्ट फिगर पाए गए वो पूरी फिगर के साथ माननीय लोकसभा के स्पीकर को अपनी संस्तुति के साथ भेजा गया।
वो कह रहे हैं कि क्यों दर्शन हीरानंदानी को नहीं बुलाया तो फिर इंक्वायरी नहीं।
देखिए, जब पूरी विस्तृत रिपोर्ट पार्लियामेंट के पे ले हो जाएगी और पब्लिक डोमेन पर आ जाए तो आप पढ़ेंगे तो आपको लगेगा कि जो कमेटी को करना चाहिए, कमेटी ने पूरी निष्पक्षता के साथ, पूरी गहनता के साथ विषय का परीक्षण किया।
Sir, why did you give a dissent note? Why did you not vote in favor of the report?
Actually, you can see on that day, the second, the last meeting is taken place. It is not completed, and the chairman asking unnecessary questions and unethical questions. That is the main issue. We walked out. Then, after the meeting is over, they circulated the paper and circulation the resolution, draft report on this. So actually what happened in the meeting, what chairman says, after the evidence witness crossing, we will have a separate meeting, separate internal meeting of the committee members. But there is no internal meeting happen in the committee.
Also one very important question, they had 5 members, you had 4, you had 5 members, but Pranit Kaur suddenly decided to vote for the BJP.
Actually, yeah, chairman is voted for reject. What?
Pranit Kaur decided to vote for the BJP.
Yeah, that is what I asked to her. It is compulsion.
What compulsion is that?
I don't know.
Will you ask your party leaders to ask her questions?
I will tell my party.
Have you made your party aware that she's voted?
Just now it has happened. So we must inform the party.
We've discussed what happened in the meeting, but most importantly, why did Pranit Kaur actually voted along with the BJP? Because the Congress MPs are saying that she was put under pressure.
Absolutely no pressure. I think she's a very mature politician. There's no question of pressure at all. In fact, she took this decision on her own, and I'm sure she took this decision because she has that courage to stand by what is right. So if there is contempt of house, if there is breach of privilege, if there is violation of the provisions of the rules of procedure and conduct of business in Lok Sabha, I am sure any right-thinking parliamentarian would come and not support. Or
what happens to the so-called opposition unity in this case? Because Pranit Kaur is a sitting member of parliament from the Congress party, has not adhered by the parliament by what her party really wanted her to do.
So this is a good thing which has happened, and I think all of us should support and all of us should welcome this kind of attitude. But I think today, whatever has happened, we have sent our recommendations to Honourable Speaker. He'll take the right decision at an appropriate time. But I can only say that this is a great lesson for all the parliamentarians that we should live within our limits of decency, and we should see what is right and what is wrong, and then only whatever the job chart says, we should adhere to the job chart.
Joining me right now is Mr. Natarajan from the CPM. He's part of the Ethics Committee. Sir, why did you give a dissent?
First we objected that the inquiry is not completed. So another chance must be given to Moitra to express her views about the complaint against her. The second point we demanded that the Hiranandani must be summoned. That is not taken place. The third, the attitude of the chairman. Personal questions he is continuously asking, that we objected to the decision. This is the decision of the chairman.
Okay, we're now going to play out for you the details that we have on the left and the right of me. These are the members of the ethics panel committees. You can see those who voted for Mahua Moitra's cause. So essentially they voted against the report. The report was asking for her expulsion. the expulsion of her so she could no longer be an MP in the parliament. Those who voted for it, largely BJP leaders, one Congress leader as you can see, and those who voted against it. You can see both lists on my left and right. It's time for a short break. On the other side in just a few minutes, more of the country's top stories. This is the Breaking News Show on CNN News 18.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents CNN News 18 Indian of the Year 2023. And the nominees for the sports category are Sunil Chhetri, Shubman Gill, Nikhat Zareen, Satvik and Chirag, Neeraj Chopra. Vote now on www.indianoftheyear.com and choose the Indians conquering the world. Co-powered by
Good afternoon, everybody. Sure. So our understanding is that given a security circumstance that the Rafah border crossing remains closed today, but this is something that we are continuing to work with in partnership with the government of Egypt and the government of Israel towards safe passage for more U.S. citizens, eligible family members, and lawful permanent residents to be able to exit. The number of American citizens, LPRs, and eligible individuals to have departed Gaza continues to be at more than 400. The number I provided up yesterday, I don't have any additional updates at this time.
Outbound, inbound traffic at all through Rafah today?
It remains closed, is our understanding.
And in your conversations with Egyptians, do they give...
Again, I'm just not going to parse into the specifics of the parameters, as our understanding is that its closure was because of a certain security circumstance. So our expectation is that once that circumstance is resolved, the crossing will be open at the regular intervals that it's been open, and the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza and the facilitation of foreign nationals interested in exiting will be able to do so.
Military support to Israel, and is the U.S. still in the position of not drawing any red lines for Israel?
What I can say, and this is not the first time that you've heard me, the Secretary, or Matt, or others say this, and dating back to October 7th, we have laid out in clear terms, and we have done so directly with our counterparts and our partners in the Israeli government, that there is a moral imperative, a strategic imperative, and a responsibility to distinguish between Hamas terrorists and Palestinian civilians in Gaza. And we'll continue to lay out that very clearly. And we have also raised directly that we believe that there are additional steps that can be taken by the Israeli government to ensure protection of civilians, and we'll be continuing to watch closely. You know it's going to be a good briefing when you have a former PRS director and acting
G7 foreign ministers in Japan. Obviously, they held in-depth discussions about just a brief update on the crossing at Rafah. Over the last 24 hours, more than 80 more trucks carrying humanitarian aid was able to enter Gaza. That brings the total to 650. Again, not enough. We're going to continue to work to push that. And as of now, we're aware of more than 400 Americans and family members who have been able to depart and and sought the support of our embassy team on the ground in Egypt. There has been no change in that number since yesterday. So no more U.S. citizens or family members got out since the last time, well, since yesterday when I was up here talking to you guys. Prime Minister Netanyahu talked about an indefinite period where they would be on the ground. I think he was referring to the idea, the fact that in the immediate aftermath of conflict, it's certainly plausible that for at least some period of time, Israeli Defense Forces are still going to be in Gaza to manage the immediate aftermath and the security situation. But that nothing's changed about our view that shouldn't be the long-term solution, that it shouldn't be about an IDF reoccupation of Gaza as a long-term governance solution. Certainly the American citizens that we know are being held, but all of them. And in order to do that, as we saw with the first 4 that got out, 2 Americans and then 2 Israelis a couple of days later, there was enough of a pause in the fighting to allow for their safe passage, and that's what we're trying to get cemented, is an agreement for as many pauses as might be necessary to get all of them out. But it's a delicate negotiating process, and we're still working at it. What I can tell you is that we want to stay open to the idea that it might take, in fact, likely could take, more than one humanitarian pause to get them all out.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
For a second day in the row, the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC, was able to escort 6 ambulances out of Gaza City and to the Rafah crossing with Egypt, where I'm currently stood. We also entered Gaza with several trucks of vitally needed medical assistance that we planned to donate to different facilities that are in desperate need of medical items, including the Al Quds Hospital, which is managed by the Palestinian Red Crescent, our main partner. The ICRC, due to serious security challenges on the road, which included one of our trucks being impacted and with one of our drivers being injured, was not able to go ahead with the plan as we intended. We were, however, still able to deliver the majority of the assistance that we had with us to one of the major hospitals within Gaza City, Al-Shifa.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 right here on CNN News 18, and we continue to cover the big developments that took place just a few minutes ago. You remember the Ethics Panel Committee, while tabling a report, voted for the expulsion of Mahua Moitra, the TMC MP. What that will mean possibly is she will lose her Member of Parliament privileges. But we're going to wait for all of these developments. First, what we have to play out for you, what the one Congress MP who broke ranks, Praneeth Kaur, had to say. Remember, Praneeth Kaur voted for the motion. Essentially, she and the other BJP MPs voted for this resolution to be passed, for the report to be passed. We're going to play out for you what it is that she had to say. Payal, my colleague who's been bringing us bites from the ground, reactions from the ground, she's actually with us right now. Let's go over to her. Payal, you asked Praneeth Kaur why she voted this way, why she broke ranks from the Congress. She didn't comment. She said that all I would say is that I voted in favor. Bring us more context.
Well, of course, that's going to be quite an issue to actually watch out for in the next couple of days, given the fact that Praneeth Kaur has sided with the BJP as far as its numbers are concerned. Because remember, otherwise the votes would have, in a way, been a little lesser for the BJP. But given the fact that she's done this and she said she's just voted as far as the resolution is really concerned, the BJP, MPs, including the chairman or the defending Praneeth Kaur, and essentially saying that she went by what was really required to be done. She went by what the correct position as an elected member of parliament was required to be taken. But this is going to have consequences, given the fact that, Praneeth Kaur's husband, Captain Amrinder Singh, is now with the BJP. And obviously, Mr. Vetalingam, another member of parliament from the Congress party, has alleged that Praneeth Kaur was facing pressure. But what kind of pressure was she facing is for her to explain if at all there was any pressure. Otherwise, she decided to go with what her heart and what her heart and her mind told her. That's what the BJP has been saying. So it's going to be quite a war of words in the coming few days, because the opposition will now have to face a lot of questions from the BJP. What happened to the so-called BJP unit, the opposition unity that they had spoken about? Why is it that a Congress member of parliament sided with the BJP? What is it looking like in the run-up to the next political elections? A lot of questions have to be answered by the Congress party leadership from here on.
Okay. Payal, we're going to keep checking in with you for updates. This is obviously a developing story. Right now, though, we're going to let this story rest. We're going to move to a different story for a moment. 5 states across the country seeing elections within this month. We've talked about them before. You have Telangana down south, Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and of course, Mizoram. Mizoram has already seen the elections. Chhattisgarh saw one phase. Let's take you now to Madhya Pradesh, where remember the BJP is in power. Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the current sitting chief minister, but the BJP hasn't indicated who is going to be the next chief minister if they win. My colleague Aman on the ground spoke to Smriti Irani, the union minister. Take a look.
You're campaigning in Madhya Pradesh. What is your feeling in Madhya Pradesh? Are you going to form the government? And as the BJP slogan is, MP के मन में मोदी है.
MP के मन में मोदी है, वो आपने देख लिया है. आपने कैंपेन कवर किए हैं. आपने नेताओं से बात नहीं की. आपने सिटीजन से बात की है, यंगस्टर्स से बात की है, महिलाओं से बात की है. और महिला अगर मध्य प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के प्रति अपना समर्थन जता रही है, तो सिर्फ लाडली लक्ष्मी योजना नहीं, लाडली बहना योजना नहीं, उन्होंने सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप में महिलाओं के लिए हमारी सरकार का काम देखा है. उन्होंने आयुष्मान भारत योजना में मध्य प्रदेश टुडे हैज डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड क्लोज टू 3.62 lakh आयुष्मान भारत कार्ड्स. बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट 30 lakh citizens only in this state have received free medical support under Ayushman Bharat. So it's not only that the Prime Minister has pronounced schemes, the benefits and the beneficiaries can be seen on the ground. And that is the biggest strength of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
So when you think Rajasthan, you also think among many other things, a pagdi and a safa. And Vishwanath ji is sitting right here with me. In fact, he's making a pagdi for me. ये तो मेरे लिए बन रहा है ना? अच्छा, अब मुझे एक बात बताइए, क्या इलेक्शन के दौरान पगड़ियों का डिमांड बढ़ जाता है?
बिल्कुल नहीं, बढ़ता है इसलिए क्योंकि यहाँ पे बीजेपी का चुनाव और कांग्रेस का चुनाव जब भी टकरार होता है दोनों में, तो दोनों को उस टाइम है ना, चुनाव के टाइम प्रचार के हिसाब से डिमांड अपने आप बढ़ जाती है. बीजेपी के लिए
बीजेपी और कांग्रेस के चुनाव में
सिर्फ क्योंकि इन पगड़ियों के भी अलग कलर होते हैं.
अच्छा.
केसरिया कलर, आप केसरिया कलर बीजेपी का, और जो मल्टी कलर जो होता है वो कांग्रेस का.
तो अभी तो आप मल्टी कलर बना रहे हो मेरे लिए?
जी, मैं मल्टी कलर बना रहा हूँ. मल्टी कलर में हम रेड देंगे आपको फ्रंट पे. जो आसमानी कलर जो होता है वो फ्रंट पे देते हैं हम लोग, जो कांग्रेस की तरफ से बनता है पगड़ी. अब हम जो बना रहे हैं आपके पगड़ी, वो हम जोधपुरी साफा बना रहे हैं आपके लिए.
तो किसके सर पे इस बार पगड़ी सजेगी, ये किस किस मुद्दे पे फैसला होता है?
मैम, वैसे तो मुद्दा तो एक ही है, गरीब और अमीर. जो हमें जो सस्ता, हमें हमारा ध्यान रखेंगे. सरकार एक माई बाप होती है कि हम उनके बच्चे हैं, सरकार हमारी माई बाप है. जो हमें अच्छे तरीके से रखेंगे, जो अच्छे तरीके कर रहे हैं हमारे लिए, हम उनका साथ देंगे.
आप कहते हैं गरीब और अमीर, लेकिन पगड़ी की खास बात ये भी है कि ये नहीं देखता गरीबी और अमीरी. अमीर आदमी भी पहनता है पगड़ी, गरीब भी पहनता है.
बिल्कुल, पगड़ी सेम,
भेदभाव नहीं देखता है.
भेदभाव नहीं देखते ना, हम भेदभाव कह रहे हैं.
मेरी पगड़ी तैयार है तो पहला दो.
बिल्कुल, मैं आपको भेदभाव कुछ नहीं.
पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज का भी यही कहना है, महिला सशक्तिकरण.
बिल्कुल, क्यों नहीं. अभी मोदी जी ने हमें अच्छा एक कोर्स दिया है, एक बनाया है दिल्ली में ही बैठे बैठे, कि आरक्षण दिया ही उनको बढ़ाने के लिए. तो हम तो उनके लिए अच्छे तरह से हम लोग सहमत हैं. अच्छे तरह उनकी बात भी अच्छे तरह से हम समझ रहे हैं कि क्या वो चाह रहे हैं, और वो आप लोगों को ही आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं.
RP Sanjeev Goenka Group presents CNN News 18 Indian of the Year 2023, and the nominees for the entertainment category are Shah Rukh Khan, Mani Ratnam, Sunny Deol, Deepika Padukone, Manoj Bajpayee. Vote now on www.indianoftheyear.com and choose the Indians conquering the world.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. Trouble mounts for Trinamool MP Mahua Moitra as the Lok Sabha Ethics Panel has adopted a 500-page report, we are told, against her, recommending her expulsion in the Cash for Query scam. According to a panel source, the committee gave a recommendation to expel the TNC MP for the remaining period of the 17th Lok Sabha and even admonished BSP MP Danish Ali, who's also a member of this ethics committee, for allegedly twisting and moulding the intent of the chairman's questions to Moitra and fomenting public sentiments against the panel. The ethics panel, headed by BJP MP Vinod Sonkar, has also asked Lok Sabha Speaker to frame a set of rules to check unruly conduct by lawmakers. Remember, when Mahua